karma? What strengthens a pattern? Have you ever noticed some patterns in your life feel difficult to change? You may decide to respond differently, yet the same reaction appears again. What is it that makes a pattern grow stronger over time? In the previous episode, we explored what shapes our choices. We saw that patterns, thoughts, and feelings influence how we act. But this brings a deeper question. Why do some patterns become so strong? In daily life, certain reactions repeat again and again. Some habits seem easy to shift, while others feel deeply rooted. This difference is not random. At a basic level, every pattern grows through repetition. The more an action is repeated, the more familiar it becomes. What feels familiar begins to feel natural. Repetition does not just repeat the action, it strengthens the trace left by the action. Each time it happens, the pattern becomes easier to follow. Slowly, it begins to feel automatic. But repetition alone is not enough to make a pattern strong. There is another important factor quietly involved. That factor is attention. What we repeatedly give attention to becomes more active in our experience. When attention returns again and again to the same thought or reaction, it begins to feel more important than it actually is. And what feels important is remembered more easily. The mind starts returning to it without effort. Along with attention, emotion also plays a role. What we feel strongly leaves a deeper impression. A reaction connected with strong feeling tends to stay longer. It becomes easier for that pattern to repeat. This is why certain experiences leave a strong mark, not because they happen often, but because they are deeply felt. So, pattern becomes strong through three moments. It is repeated, it is attended to, and it is felt deeply. When these come together, the pattern begins to feel natural. It no longer appears as a choice, it feels like the only response. This is where many feel stuck, not because change is impossible, but because the pattern feels familiar and certain. But even strong patterns are not permanent, they continue only as long as they are reinforced. So, what happens when awareness enters this process? Does it stop the pattern immediately, or does it begin to influence it slowly? When awareness is present, repetition is no longer unseen. The pattern may still appear, but now it is noticed. Attention also begins to shift. Instead of feeding the pattern blindly, there is a possibility of seeing it clearly. Even emotional involvement begins to change. When something is observed without being absorbed, its intensity reduces. This does not happen instantly. Patterns do not disappear at once, but their hold begins to loosen. At the same time, new actions may begin to appear. Even a small shift in response can change direction. When these new actions repeat, they begin forming new traces, and slowly new patterns can emerge. So, strengthening and weakening are part of the same movement. What is repeated grows stronger, what is clearly seen begins to loosen. This shows that karma is not fixed or rigid, it is shaped by what continues and what is understood. In your daily life, which patterns feel strongest right now, and what might be quietly strengthening them? In the next episode, if patterns become strong like this, how do they begin influencing the direction of our life?